Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. So this week we're going to start our counter offer conversation. But I had an epiphany. I was ready, I had like guns blazing, man. I was ready to come in and I was like, here's 5 reasons recruiters will tell you not to take a counter offer. And here's 5 reasons why that's wrong. And we're going to talk about that. We are absolutely going to get to that next week. This week, I think it's really important for us to think about the risks and the pros and cons to asking for or expecting a counteroffer. I'm not saying you are doing that. Some of us are surprised by counteroffers. Like, oh, shoot, really? You don't want me to go? Oh, I didn't see that coming. Well, that's nice. Some of us have been there. It's kind of a cool feeling. But I think there's a risk, and I think that there are job seekers who want to kind of play the game a little bit, right? Like, I'm going to go get a bunch of offers, and I'm going to use them as leverage. Recruiters hate that. Really, they hate it. We hate it. But I also understand, like, it works. Why wouldn't you? And if that is your approach, I ain't mad at you. You got to do what you got to do to secure your bag. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Okay? So I ain't mad at you. Hate the game, not the player, as the saying goes. Do they still say that? I know it was big when I was a kid, but anyway. So I that's fine. Like, your personal decisions and choices and the way you want to lead your career are your own. I'm not judging. But I will give you some insight on some things to be careful of before you go in, too hot. Okay. So first of all, understand not every company is going to make counteroffers. It is not in any way a knock on you if you don't get one. It may just be a company that just doesn't believe in them, a manager who just doesn't want to, jump through the hoops. Maybe you're kind of a pain in the ass and nobody wants to tell you that. No, I'm just kidding about that part. But there's any number of reasons why a counteroffer may not be on the table. And those reasons may have nothing to do with you. So just understand, going into that conversation with your manager, if you walk in, hey, I've got an offer and I'm thinking about taking it, they might be like, dang, we'll miss you. Do you need a box? Want to help, pack in your desk? Didn't see that coming, did we? But that's obviously being a little silly about it, but that can happen. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees that this is going to go the way you want it to go or maybe expect it to go. So my advice, if I were in that situation, and especially if I wasn't totally all in, if I have an offer in hand, I'm maybe not 100% sure this is the right move. I don't know how interested I am in it for whatever reason. I'm going to tread carefully. I'm going to, obviously meet with my manager, and hopefully I have a good, trusting relationship with my manager. And I'm just going to be transparent. Look, I've got an opportunity. I don't really want to take it. I'm not really, I'm not resigning. I'm not leaning that direction necessarily. But I do want to have an honest conversation with you about my future here. Like, what would happen if I resigned? Like, what's next for me if I stay? Like, that's an okay conversation to have. So I think, you'll want to think about, your relationship with your boss and what you know of how your company operates and how you think they might react. But don't be afraid to just kind of test the waters a little bit before you flat out resign. Once you say, I'm quitting, or you put in writing, my last day is, they may just take you at your word. There may not be a counteroffer. Just be careful, especially in this economy. Do you know how many people I know are still looking for work, been laid off for a year or more? That's scary. So it's not necessarily the market for us to try to manipulate and gameplay. I don't, look, I don't like the power imbalance any more than you do. I'm an employee just like many of you. I get it. But I just feel like I need to like throw it out there that there's some risk. There's some risk in how you present your choices, your opportunity, your potential next step in a way that doesn't force anyone's hand. I think that's the concern here, right? You don't want to be in a position where your manager is like forced to let you go, or you're forced to take a job that maybe you weren't all that keen on. You were just kind of using it for leverage. You'll know your situation better than I do. I'm just trying to give you stuff to think about. Okay. So if it's me, and if I'm thinking to myself, I like my manager, I like the work I'm doing, I'd be happier if I had more money, I'd be happier if I could, work remotely 3 days a week instead of 2, like whatever. Your wish list is your own. You may have certain things that you would consider, a viable counteroffer. You want to know that going in, right? You want to really think about like, what would make me stay? But also think about how ready am I to go? Because if you play this game, like I said, I've already said this probably once or twice, just in the last 5 minutes, they may let you go. They may not try to stop you. And that's the scary part, right? So you want to just make sure that if you are going to suggest that you might leave, have something to leave to, just in case. This market scares me. That's why I'm like kind of indexing hard on this, because this market is scary. I don't want any of us to inadvertently find ourselves unemployed because we didn't navigate this better. Okay, so that's one thing to think about. Like, first of all, if worst case scenario, they encourage me to take the other offer, am I prepared to do that? Like, do I feel good enough about the offer that's on the table that if that conversation goes sideways, I'm okay to leave. I'm okay to follow through on the implied threat? That's probably not the right word, but it's what am I trying to say here? Am I okay to follow through on actually taking the other opportunity? If the answer is yes, go for it. What do you have to lose? You've got another great opportunity to go towards that you're already interested in and seriously considering. No harm, no foul. But if this is more like, man, I'm really not sure, I don't know, this job's not all that great, the job I have is probably better, tread carefully. Don't say or do anything that could be construed as resigning, because I might let you. I don't want that for you. Okay, so that's going to be like number one, my biggest piece of advice here. Don't start something you're not ready to finish. That's all I'm saying. Be ready to follow through if you're going to try that approach. So with that, hopefully that's given us some foundational, like, okay, these are the things I need to get in order before I have the conversation. I need to make sure I've got a backup plan. I'm ready to accept the offer. This is a sure thing. I didn't just interview and might be getting an offer in 2 weeks. Like, this is a done deal. I have an opportunity to move on to if that is the right way to go and if that is the right opportunity for me. Now I'm ready to go have that career conversation. Granted, those career conversations, ideally, are happening regularly anyway. Our one-on-ones with our managers, our quarterly check-ins, our yearly reviews, whatever, any of those touch points with your leadership should include some discussion about growth. What's next for me? What projects can I take on? How can I earn more money? Like all of those things. If they're not happening, this is a good opportunity to start that, right? So, hey, I'm exploring opportunities, but really my dream opportunity is here. What do we do? How do we make that happen? That should be a conversation your manager is willing to have with you. If they're not, Might be a sign it's time to go. Counteroffer be damned. Might be a sign that there is something better for you. Okay? Not trying to convince you not to take a counter. Just trying to prepare you for the possibility that you're not getting one. All right? Okay, so we've set some groundwork. We're going to leave it there for this week. Hop on over to the next video or come back next week, and we're going to dig into the 5 reasons a recruiter will tell you not to accept a counteroffer and why they're wrong. See you next week.